All right, let's move to another blue blood matchup today. UCLA and Kentucky. The Bruins come out on top 63-53, which begs the question at this point, does Kentucky have any quality wins? I mean, you look at it, it doesn't really seem like they do. They're running out opportunities. I mean, they got Michigan and London, but Jeff, you just said we have no idea how good of a win that is. What do you make of this Kentucky team right now, Jeff?
I'm disappointed. I'm really, really disappointed because when I look at this Kentucky team, I see all the pieces there. I see the big man, the dominant, hard playing. I mean, honestly, like Tyler, he's similar to you in a lot of ways, Oscar. He just plays his balls off, right? He plays so goddamn hard. And you've got good pieces around him. You got shooters. The Reeves kid, he didn't make him today, but CJ Frederick and Reeves, two of the better shooters. They've got older dudes. They've got some good freshmen. Cason Wallace is, to me, one of the best overall freshmen in the country. Toppin's okay. What I've always questioned is, do they have enough shooting? Do they have enough spacing on their team? Because they want to play Severe Wheeler. And if you play Wheeler with Shibwe, with Toppin, and Reeves and Frederick aren't making shots, you don't have a lot of good spacing on the court right now. But I think they run jack shit offensively. I really do. I watch them. I can't believe how little they run. And to me, that's the biggest problem. I think they have the personnel to be able to click offensively. I just don't think they run a damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the shooting percentages from the game, Jeff, today, too. They shot 28% from the three-point line. They shot 38% from the foul line. Like, it's and they had 18 turnovers.
Right.
Like, that's a recipe for disaster, right? I want to credit UCLA because you go on the road, you beat Maryland, and then you follow it up by beating Kentucky in Madison Square Garden, where it sounded like there was a bunch of UCLA fans in the building, but we all know how well BBN travels. And
Trust me, there weren't any UCLA fans. I was in Vegas. There were no UCLA. There were like 25 UCLA fans in the entire building in Vegas.
But you can't win a game turning the ball over 18 times and shooting 28% from the three-point line and 38% from the foul line. Like think about that. Like you have no shot. So I just think offensively, they've got to develop some kind of identity. Are we going to space it out? Are we going to just go completely 4-round-1? How are we going to get Shibwe the ball inside? This is what we're going to run. We're going to run more pick and rolls. We're going to try to catch him on the roll, maybe get him some lobs on the backside, space it out that way. But it just seems like there's no identity on the offensive end of the floor for Kentucky right now. And you can't shoot those percentages and turn the ball over at that rate and have any chance to beat a quality opponent. No chance.
Yeah, and I want to say I think UCLA is a really good team. You saw them last year. They went to the Elite Eight, and the year before they had the play-in game and then made the Final Four, I think. I think UCLA is a quality team, and even before the season, I thought UCLA might be a team that could, be a Final Four contender. So I think this was going to be a tough game for Kentucky prior, but I also think Kentucky has struggled a little bit. I mean, you saw Yale take them to the wire, a week or so ago, and I would ask the question: Is Oscar healthy? First of all, it's
a great question. That's a great question because he missed the month leading up to the start of the season. He barely practices. He goes out in that first game, Champions Classic, and he was really good. But it's like, did he come back too quickly?
Yeah. And, that's the other thing is like, my senior year, I sat out for a little bit with the shin injury. And, when you're that big of an impact player, it could mess up the chemistry a little bit and the fluidity of the offense. And when I watched them, it kind of seemed like they were stagnant and looking for ISOs offensively. And it didn't seem like they were really pushing the ball or playing as a unit. But I do like Tshiebwe's game. I think he plays hard, he rebounds hard, and I think he's a competitor. But, I think it's going to take, some more practices with the team to really, get Kentucky where they want to be. Because I'm with you. I think they have athletes. I think they have players, and I think they should be much better than what they are right now.
So Jeff made the quick Shibwe Psycho T comparison here. I can't believe we just skated by that for the record. But if we are going to play that comp game, just to be clear, advantage guard play goes to Tyler's teams. Advantage wings, NBA guys shooting everywhere, right? So a little bit of a different situation. But looking at this game specifically, and I can't remember if it was Matt or Jeff who said this, but offensive problems for Kentucky. Antonio Reeves makes a three-pointer, cuts it to 54-51, 3-point game with 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in this game. They scored 2 points the rest of the game. And I still don't know how this team wants to score the basketball. Like, is it Severe Wheeler's job to run the show? Are they just going to funnel it all through Oscar? Because I don't think he really is that type of go-to offensive guy in crunch time in a close game. I don't know who else it would be. You've got some spot shooters, but it's guys you got to draw stuff up for. So, Matt, what would you do schematically with this team? Like, in a tight game, where does the ball need to go for this team to be successful?
Well, and I would ask Tyler this too. Like, in a close game, it's so hard to try to get the basketball to the post, right? You try to run an action, and everybody is keen in on Oscar and knowing, hey, we don't want the ball getting down to him in this type of situation, in a one-on-one situation, and allow him to go operate. So if I'm the opposing coach, we're taking that away. First of all, if it goes inside, we're going down, we're going to get him, we're getting the ball out of his hands, and we're playing the percentages right now because they're shooting 28% from the three-point line. So if he even kicks it out of a double team, we'll play those percentages and get the rebound and come back down on offense. So I think they have to find a level of identity. This is how we want to play, right? We're going to be a pick and roll team, and we're going to try to get Oscar on rolls to the basket, and after rolls, maybe throwbacks on spread pick and roll situation, right? Like, how many times do you see Kentucky run a spread pick and roll where they've got a fill behind guy, where a guard's coming off a ball screen, being set by Oscar, and they throw it? Now all of a sudden his man has to guard the pick and roll, and then he's trying to run back inside to play post defense on Oscar. You don't see Kentucky do a lot of spread ball screens in that situation, right? Now I can throw it back and I can dump it into Oscar, and his man has already had to try to guard the pick and roll and sprint back and play post defense. So I just think they have to find an identity. This is how we want to play. This is what we're going to do. We're going to run these 3 or 4 things. We're going to have a package where we can try to get him post-ups in these types of situations, but we're going to get Wheeler coming off pick and rolls and Reeves filling behind, because those are our 3 best offensive players. And then it's, hey, are we going to do something different on defense? Do we press more because we have length? We have athletes. Can we get into some passing lanes and try to create some turnovers to get ourselves out on the break? I think that's another thing they've got to try to figure out going into league play. But, you know, if you look at the SEC, obviously Tennessee's terrific. Auburn's been a little bit up and down. Alabama had a great weekend last weekend. No, they didn't play great today and dropped one today. But Kentucky can still find themselves up towards the upper echelon of the league, because I think talent-wise, like Jeff was saying, they're better than a lot of teams in that league. They just have to figure out, hey, this is what we're going to run on offense. We're going to take advantage of these 3 guys. Okay, we've got.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
But when Tyler played at Carolina, I mean, I'm not saying Severe Wheeler is as good as Ty Lawson. Obviously, he's not. But what I am saying is Ty Lawson was kind of a non-shooter at the college level to some degree. But what did he do? He used his speed to get so many easy baskets for himself, for you, Tyler, for everybody else. And that's something that you don't see Kentucky do. They don't get that. And Wheeler he's fast as shit, Matt. Like, wouldn't you find a way to get him downhill? And he can get downhill in the half court, but they got to get more in transition.
They have to get more transition. And that's my point too. And I think RC has said this before too. Where's the spacing? Where's the floor spacing on offense? There's just, it seems like the lane is so clogged in order for him to get downhill and get in the lane and create for his teammates. And it's whether it's Oscar, you know, coming off the baseline, it just doesn't seem any floor spacing out. That's my point in terms of, hey, let's do some 4-route. Let's have Oscar set spread pick and rolls and space it out. Now Wheeler can come off and try to create for
I'd bring Wheeler off the bench. I would bring Wheeler off the bench and start Wallace with more shooting. I would. I think as a non-shooter these days, It's really hard if you have three guys that can't space the floor. Wheeler, Shibwe, and Toppin. All three
It's hard
of
to
them.
score points. It's hard to
Yeah,
score
like
points.
you just can't.
It's
You can't
hard
win
to
these
score
days
points.
that way.
Yeah,
Hard
and I
to score
think if
points.
you add that shooter, I think it opens up things for Oscar down low as well. And the other thing you talked about spacing, and you brought up Ty. We had this old school play where we used to put the big man. Carolina traditionally, the one big man inbounds the ball, and then you have another big man. We put him right at the half court line just to set a ball screen, and then Ty could go either way, and it was a downhill climb. And I could not only imagine what the person guarding Ty felt like, but I mean, layups after layups, and I've never seen somebody dominate a game with their speed at the college level like Ty did. And I think that has a lot to do with the spacing and being able to clear out the lane. And you're right, Jeff. You add that shooter, I think it's going to open up more opportunities for Tshiebwe to be able to duck in. I actually compared him to kind of like a Zach Randolph without being left-handed, because his body and the way his hands are around the rim, he's able to get those quick rebounds and just go right back up. And those duck-ins are so important. So I think that would be key for him.
Yeah, UCLA made it easy for us. I'll tell you guys this. We do the team of the week, player of the week. UCLA is the team of the week. Spoiler alert. But they did their job this week. The blowout against Maryland, 10-point win against Kentucky, done deal. I feel obligated to ask this just quickly before we move to the next game. Jeff, you and I were at the Champions Classic. I think half jokingly talking about what if this season doesn't go well. Do we need a coaching change here? Well,
Hey.
I mean, listen. Let me throw one number at you. Since Calipari signed a lifetime contract, 8-15 against ranked teams, 0 NCAA tournament wins.
Wow,
there's some boo birds. There's some boo birds out.
Listen, I've said it. I get to pick wherever the hell I want to go for the NCAA tournament. I will be at Kentucky's first round game, no matter where they are. I don't care if it was Alaska. I'm going to go because how tight John Calipari is going to be for that game, you are never going to see a coach tighter than him going into that game. Because, again, 2 years ago was a disaster. Obviously, it was in the bubble, so it was a different deal in the pandemic. Last year, they lose to St. Peter's. This year, there's a lot of pressure on John Calipari. I don't know what the buyout is. You can give somebody a lifetime contract all you want, and McCall knows this. All that matters is the buyout. And the buyout's going to be crazy for Cal.